Up and before the main course, while they're cleaning up and before dessert, just want to give a little speech about my mother. Tonight is her Yehrtziet, and just a few shout-outs before I start that. A special thanks to Ernie for so ably leading the Daf Yomi for so many years. Where does he find the time? Who knows? It's impossible. I also want to thank David Tumim, who pinch hits very often. More pinch hits than Smokey Burgess and Manny Moda put together.
And a lozer. Harold, our alternate pinch hitter. A lozer.
Special welcome to my sister-in-law Ellen, who's here tonight. Making the Siyum in memory of my mother's Yehrtziet, Mishket Bat Tzvi Halevi, Allah Shalom. And as I was writing this, it's a coincidence that my mother's a Bas Levi, Magda's a Bas Levi, and Ellen is also a Bas Levi. Coincidence. So as already mentioned, quite a few of you knew my mother. She was born in a little village called Mala Martinka. It's in the Carpathian, in the Carpathian Mountains, a few kilometers from Svaljeva, which is a little larger village. Magda and I visited that area last summer in the Ukraine. We probably won't have a chance to visit it again. My mother was born in 1919. At that time it was Hungary. Then it became Czechoslovakia. Then it was the Soviet Union. One day it might be Paraguay. Who knows? keep changing borders. As a young child, she excelled in school, so much so that she told us that she even tutored the local Goyish children in arithmetic. She was very good in math. Skipped a generation. She was also an excellent seamstress, and my cousin Karen is here to attest that she even made Barbie doll clothes for her. My mother's entire family was taken away in 1944. She was the fifth of 6 children. Her father had passed away in 1937, but her mother, Ruchel Hensha, and the other siblings were taken away. My mother survived both Auschwitz and Bergen-Belsen, and I still remember as a child, the envelopes coming from strange places, Wiedergutmachen, URO, Trier, Germany. It was an interesting childhood. After the war, she was sent to Sweden, and she did not know that her younger brother had survived because he decided to return home to Svaljeva, and unfortunately the Russians closed the border at that time, so he was stuck in the Soviet Union, unable to communicate that he was still alive. One night while in Sweden, my mother had a dream that her father, who had passed away, came to her in the dream and told her that she has an uncle who's still alive in Chicago. So in the morning, she told the Hayas representative in Sweden that she thinks she has an uncle alive in Chicago. So they placed an ad, which was very common. They placed ads in the Chicago paper asking for someone named Harry Isaacovich in Chicago. And sure enough, it was true. She did have an uncle in Chicago. The family in Chicago brought her in. They sponsored her. And she married my father, who was living in I think, Chicago at the time. And this is their wedding picture, 1948. 1948. Pass it around. And this is the uncle on the left here. That's her uncle Isaacovich. And just sort of round out the circle, 6 weeks ago, I get an email from a lady. Her name was Sharon Sack. And the email was all in caps, so I knew it was an older lady. And she said, "Are you the Harold Katz whose mother was Melvina Katz?" So I was a little suspicious because I get weird emails. It wasn't from Nigeria. But she said she used my product, so it must be okay. So I said, yes, I am. And it turns out that her husband is a grandson of Harry Isaacovich. They live in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I happened to be in Phoenix. I had to go to Phoenix for business, and I met them. So that's a cousin of my mother. So yeah, so it's interesting. Okay, so my mother came to Chicago, married my father. We ended up in Sharon, Pennsylvania. My uncle, from my father's side, had a bakery there. My father had come to America in 1937. He had a wife and 6 children. The goal was to earn enough money to bring them out, but it was too late by the time he tried. So they ended up in Sharon, PA. I was born in 1949. Yeah, that's good. So she did find out that her brother was still alive in Svalova, and she regularly sent packages of clothing, such as jeans and babushkas, to him, which he then sold on the black market. And that's how he survived in Svalova, and was able to actually get him out in 1973. My brother and I had an interesting, we lived in an interesting neighborhood. It was very Polish Catholic where we lived, although we had a shul and a mikveh, went to cheder, but we had one neighbor whose name was Pius, very interesting. And my brother had a schoolmate whose father was really a Nazi. It was really a Nazi. They actually caught him. But in 1968, we moved to Los Angeles because there were less Nazis in Los Angeles. And because my mother knew how to sew, she really knew about well-made garments. She liked to go shopping and check out the clothes, and it was always important to her that we were very well-dressed, and she really liked clothes. She was never a healthy woman, but she learned how to drive, which was amazing, especially a push-button car. She cooked extremely well. She worked very hard. She learned to speak English, pretty fair. Especially, especially the word husky. You know, she used to go and make company. Where's the husky? Where's the husky? And she literally sacrificed everything for her 2 sons, who now have 2 wives, 1 each, 7 children, and 11 grandchildren of their own. She also knew how to daven well, and she should continue to daven for all of us.
Amen. Oh, yeah.